Yesterday, we celebrated the life of Simon Allen Furlong, who passed away unexpectedly from this life on March 8th. Simon was a youth here at UUCO many years ago. Many of you in our pews today knew him, loved him, and watched him grow into the extraordinary man he was. Many of you never met Simon, and maybe even hadn't heard his name until this very moment. And that's okay too. As the years pass, our congregation continues to change and shift. People may move or move away. New people find a home here. Still, this faith itself calls us to remember that we, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ogden, are not just a congregation of who is here now, who may come regularly, or who comes to meetings. We are more than that. We are every person who has ever been with us. Simon is still a part of UUCO. He never really left. The gifts he brought remain with us and have helped shape the path we are on today. And so this morning, we light our memorial candle for Simon, honoring his flame that lives on within this congregation and the flame of those who have passed before him. We carry the fire of Simon's unconditional love for all people forward, and as an act of our own love and dedication, we vow to better the world as he did for so many. Have you ever seen the bumper sticker, Unitarian Universalism, where all your answers are questioned? There's a recurring debate, conflict I keep running into within the various UU groups I interact with, online, at general and regional assemblies, in training sessions, and even here with some of you. It's come up at the dinner table with my mom on Sundays too. Is Unitarian Universalism really a religion? But really, is this a faith or is this a socio-political organization? Now, I can understand why my mother questions whether or not we're a faith, but to hear you question whether or not we are really a religion is an odd experience. The first time I ran across it, I remember being incredibly indignant. Of course we're a religion. Who did this guy think he was? Why would he claim a faith if he didn't really think it was a faith? Around about the 20th time I heard it, I hit a point where I was just laughing. UUs really do question everything, and when we run out of things to question, we question whether or not we're a religion. And at some point, I wondered if this is what a UU faith crisis looks like. We can't really have a crisis of faith about the prescribed tenets of our religion and whether the word of our given prophet is true, since we don't have that. So maybe this is how it manifests. It was also around this time that I realized I spent a lot of time questioning their question and decided the bumper sticker should say Unitarian Universalism, where all of your answers are questioned and all of your questions are questioned too. There's not a lot of things that I will stand up here and say are unequivocally true. I try to make it clear that when I preach, it is my interpretation of this faith and life and where UUCO is headed and what we need to do to get there. I remind you from time to time, usually on the bigger topics, that you have to find your own path to your own answers. But today, I will tell you unequivocally and without hesitation, this is true. Unitarian Universalism is a religion. It is a faith, and we are a faithful people. I understand the questions, I do. Religion is a coming together of belief, a gathering around a central theology that drives actions, behaviors, and even thought. UUs in every part of this country and around the world proudly proclaim we have no central theology. Deeds, not creeds, we say. Find your own theology, we say, but stick to affirming the principles, because that's where UUism is at. So how can this be a religion? Let's look at the principles, each of them. You should have bookmarks in your pews, and if not, in the gray hymnals, if you flip it open to just about the third or fourth page, the principles are listed in there. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible truth, search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregations, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. There is a common thread running through each of these 7 principles, and it is love. Unitarian Universalism's central theology is a love for humanity. We believe in loving each other so much, we are building an entire faith around it. Everything else falls by the wayside, and it is up to us to discover. And that is part of the beauty of it. We love each other so much. You get to figure out your afterlife. You get to figure out your pantheon. Just love each other. That is the core of it all. And it sounds so simple. It sounds too simple to be a theology, I know. But it's not. It is complicated, and it is difficult, and it is messy. But it is our theology. Love is the spirit of this church, right? It is right there in the affirmation statement from the UUA, and it is in our bylaws. Unitarian Universalism believes in love unconditional for every single person on this planet and powerful enough to heal the hurt in this world. That is our faith, my friends. Take a moment to sit with that, to feel what it means to believe in love that big, to imagine how the world can shift under love so vast. And take a minute to center yourself in the faith that brings you here today. We are a religion, and we are gathered around a central theology that should drive our actions, behaviors, and yes, even our thoughts. Living our faith means leading with love. And this is such a nebulous topic and always a little strange to speak about. Leading with love sounds great when you're here sitting in the pews or downstairs sipping coffee, but out in the real world and at work or in that committee meeting that's running 45 minutes too long, or in that conversation about the presidential nominees that's getting a little bit heated, like then. Love seeks to understand. It calls us to heal and to right the injustices, yes. But it also calls us to see each other as we are, to strip away pretenses and buzzwords, to push past fear or anger, to look into the heart of one another, and to truly see. Love calls us to curiosity about each other. Leading in love means that when I disagree with you, my reaction should not be to first convince you of why I am right and you are most definitely not, but to sit down and ask questions. Why do you feel that way? Tell me more, I don't understand. Why is this part important to you? How does this affect your family? How does this affect your heart? Unitarian Universalism, where all the questions are. This is the complicated and messy part of believing in love the way that we do. This is the hard part of living our faith and our principles. I don't want to sit down with a neo-Nazi and ask them questions. I don't want to hear the slurs roll around in their mouths like candy, and I don't want to say to them, tell me more. And the truth is, I'm not likely to ever have that opportunity. But if I do, my faith, my theology calls me to it, and I will do my best to live my faith. In reality, I will have more opportunities here with you to live my faith and to lead with love. We are going to disagree. We're going to disagree about things like the size of the pulpit, or the color of the walls, or where the money should go in the budget. We're going to disagree about what it means to take care of each other, or how a committee should function, or who should be doing particular church work. And we're going to inadvertently hurt each other. It is inevitable. Some of us are experiencing it now, others have in the past, and others of you are just waiting your turn. But the love that is my faith guides me, reminds me to come back to say, what did you mean when you said that in that meeting? I don't think I fully understand your perspective because it hurt me. Or tell me more about this. I'm hurt by what you did and I need to better understand your experience. Love doesn't just seek to understand in times of conflict either. Our theology is bigger than that, more complete. We are meant to see each other, all of each other, to love each other in as many ways as possible. I am going to notice your posts on Facebook and understand that you are showing me a part of you. I am going to see you in a meeting to notice when you are quiet and when you speak up, when you stand to stretch, and when you start glancing at the clock. I'm going to see how you greet people downstairs and then hide in a corner to find a few minutes of quiet, or greet people downstairs and then seek out another group and chat with them too. I'm going to see you here in the pews and see how you experience worship, how you sit and lean or knit and write. I'm going to see as much of you as I can every time you let me, and I'm going to do it so I can understand who you are, who I share this faith with, who I walk in love with. As Reverend Jake Morrow offered in his prayer from our reading, help us notice in the small gestures all we are being told. Help us receive one another in generous love until it is the nature of all relations the world over. This is Unitarian Universalism, a religion centered around unconditional love. Living it well is complicated and messy and hard, but living it well can heal the world's hurt. May it be so.